So we're talking about WandaVision. Man, I just finished watching I watched all the episodes except for two because I had to skip it because I wouldn't make it in time. But I just watched three, four, and five for the first time. You guys are all caught up, right?
Yes. I just finished episode 5.
Man, it's freaky, isn't it? I'm mind blown. My mind has been blown away.
Well, we can talk about the way the most recent one ended in a little bit, but
Well, the whole
I
thing is
do
freaky.
I will say I am enjoying like the setup where like they go ahead a decade pretty much every episode in terms of style and type of
Yeah,
like
that's a
I
lot
think
of
Oh,
the
fun.
most
totally.
That's a lot of fun for sure.
most recent one is what pretty much what All in the Family, which is kind of funny how it ends.
Which one was that? Was that the one with Michael J. Fox?
Uh, no, that would be
I used to watch the one with Michael J. Fox when I was a kid.
that was
Family Ties, I think it was, wasn't it?
yeah. No, All in the Family was shoot, I'm trying to remember. Oh, that was the Rob Reiner show.
Did they get to the 90s towards the end? I wasn't sure.
I mean, I think they will. I mean, there's not a lot of episodes of the show, but it's been. I will say, like, I still have a slight concern that, like, I want a definitive reason as to why this hex area,
Yeah, the hex.
the hex is specifically
A sitcom?
yeah, in all these sitcom settings. I enjoy what they're doing with it.
Because it's fun.
Right, but I want a narrative purpose to it.
Yeah, we're
Come on, man.
being spoon-fed.
You're taking it too serious, Daniel. This is a
I need
comic
bigger
book
answers.
show. Comic
Well,
book
I'm
show.
saying like if there's not a reason why for Wanda to have it be that way, or for whoever else might be involved in this, I think definitely the most recent episode sort of gets at the point that like Wanda is complicit, but she might not be actually in control of it. But that's really only my other concern at the moment. Like otherwise, I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying all the tie-ins. I had a note down after episode 3, which was like, I'm pretty sure this Geraldine character is going to end up being Monica Rambeau, and so I was pretty happy that turned out to be true.
Okay.
And so that's a nice tie-in, and bringing back Darcy from the Thor movies was good too.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
She's,
who she is? I thought she was vaguely familiar. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
she's that space scientist. I forget what her official title is.
Yeah, she's a nerd in Thor, right?
Yeah.
She's one of the astrophysicists. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's
believe
just
at
a
the
really
time
fun
she
actor,
was
so she fits in well.
Yeah.
I thought I knew her, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, that's what it was.
Right. And then and then they bring Jimmy Woo, who was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, played by Randall Park.
I also didn't recognize him, but I thought that he looked familiar.
Right. And so this is a very nice sort of tie in some good actors who have had smaller roles to give them a little bit more. And it's a real, this kind of show is a nice sort of payoff to those who really like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to have all these actors get more of a role, sort of an extension. I think what I talked about in the first couple episodes, where I was happy that Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany actually have a chance to really exercise their acting chops, because they're great actors and they haven't really had much of a chance.
Well, she really shines in this show, not just as an actress, but also as a beautiful woman, because she gets to try out like the styles of each decade.
I just think
we got to see her in the 50s and the 60s. Sorry?
I was just saying, I just think the two of them are just having a ton of fun with it, like, which is, I think, pretty, like, it's pretty apparent that like they're having so much fun with this. I appreciate that, and I am hopeful that a lot of this will have a good narrative sense. This is supposed to eventually have major implications for the next Doctor Strange movie, which is about multiverse stuff, which
Yeah. So I've got thoughts on that, on the multiverse. We'll come back to it, but I just wanted to plant
Yeah.
that little seed.
Yeah, we can come back to that in a bit. But anyway, I've said a lot. Your guys' thoughts?
So the multiverse was like the biggest bit of revelation for me with episode 5. So they've been talking about Pietro, her brother, Wanda's brother, for a couple of episodes now, and how he died in Age of Ultron. Was it? Yeah. So he died in Ultron. And up until that point, there were 2 characters. So Pietro is the character Quicksilver, and Quicksilver has this like weird paradigm with existing in both the Marvel universe and like the X-Men universe. And I had to do a little bit of Wikipedia reading, and there are different Earth numbers for it, and I couldn't tell you the different ones. But I noticed that the actor that they cast in X-Men X-Men End Times, Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, and then I think he continued on into
Apocalypse. That's right. Evan Peters. Let's see.
Who he's a highlight of those movies. He's a very
totally. Yeah. His scene in Apocalypse where he's running through the mansion and like throwing all the kids out is fantastic. Like probably one of the best scenes in that movie. But that is that's distinctly like the X-Men Quicksilver, who's Magneto's son, like Magneto's bastard son. And when they're like, oh, like she recast Pietro, we see Evan Peters come back as Quicksilver and not the other Quicksilver that we had in Ultron, which I think is very interesting because there's a lot of implications. Maybe like the actor is just really good and they're like, we're going to stick with him. He's the new Quicksilver now. Like that's his role. Or it could potentially imply that Wanda is pulling identities from different universes that exist within the same multiverse. And if there's some Doctor Strange multiverse level technology tying in there, I'm not going to rule my theory out just yet.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of possibilities here. I think there's a possibility that this Pietro is not who we think he is. Like somebody is appearing as him. I think because I think like
that's Quicksilver for sure. Like what?
No.
Why would they bring the actor?
It's the actor, but this is comic book stuff. We can totally have somebody. Like I said, if there is somebody really involved in this that is some sort of multiverse level entity, I can totally see someone who's been playing around with this, like appearing and using the form of X-Men Pietro. And it could be because this is sort of sitcom-y to recast people. And it could be an in-joke as well. I hope it's actually because I want the X-Men stuff to blend with the MCU because if they're going to move on from Thanos to
it opens up a whole Pandora's box of what could be in the Marvel universe.
Right. Magneto still presents one of the greatest and most compelling comic book villains that they haven't been able to use in the MCU.
Oh, totally.
As well as a lot of different X-Men villains who are just all together. There's so much you can pull from there. But yeah, I'm very curious to see exactly what it is. It is interesting that he shows up right as Wanda and Vision are like Vision's at least questioning what's happening. So it's interesting that she's surprised by his appearance.
Right.
And this appears at a critical point that could have derailed them being in this space. That's why I'm suspicious that while he is in the image of Pietro, he's not actually Pietro. Like he could be someone assuming the form of Pietro from another universe.
Right. I guess this is what you were talking about earlier, where like you have all of these unanswered questions that are just burning.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely how I feel with Pietro's appearance now. And if we look at what she says earlier in the episode, Wanda's saying that, you know, you have to address death. You can't just like ignore it. You can't age forward and just like skip it and ignore it. Which either she's absolutely not drinking her own Kool-Aid on this, or she is there are subconscious powers acting here, and we really don't know how this Pietro came to be. So
right, and it's just interesting that Darcy notes was he recast. So it's not like they're acknowledging the fact that like this is a different Pietro.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that shows that like everyone else in the Marvel universe is aware of it, which to me makes the former theory much more plausible.
Well, it seems that they're kind of like bringing in the Marvel stuff from Fox. I don't know how well that's gonna work, but I don't think they're gonna go full in like let's bring all the X-Men, let's acknowledge that that's all canon. I think that would be like if they did that, that would be a mistake. I mean that would just make the whole thing a mess.
Well, unless the next Doctor Strange movie does the Marvel version of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, I mean, if they go with, there are different versions of this. Yeah, I guess that would be fine.
Well, I guess actually this could be, what's the storyline? The House of M storyline where Wanda.
Wolverine.
Huh?
I remember Wolverine's in House of M quite a bit, but it's been a long time for me.
Right. I feel like that's one where Wanda suffers that she like has a mental break and rewrites all of reality. So this, maybe they're going to go in that direction.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know if people would accept that. I think you can accept that in the DC universe for the Flash to rewrite the DC movies because a lot of them have been bad. But I feel like, I don't know if fans would accept that with the MCU because people are pretty much invested into what they have right now.
You know, it's, I think, also worth mentioning that who's the Sword executive? It's not Nick Fury anymore. It's
well, he's Shield. Sword is
he?
Sword is a different thing, I think. Shield is the Nick Fury stuff, and that was introduced in episode 4. Yeah, I have no idea who these Sword people are, but it's I think Daniel had even like mentioned them in our first podcast.
Yeah, they're a different organization, and they've usually viewed superpowered people more as living weapons than anything else in the comics. Right. So he has been a bit more antagonistic.
It seems like the boss he's like an asshole.
But I bring it up because he's explicitly asking about like any aliases for Wanda, and they're like, nope, she has none. So they like hard ruled out that she'll ever be called the Scarlet Witch, which I thought was just a little interesting.
That was a very weird, like I had forgotten about that, but in the moment I was like, that was a weird exchange. Like,
no, you know what I think they were going for? Maybe I'm wrong and they're doing what you're saying, Ian, but my interpretation of it, watching it, I thought that he meant, oh, she's not a superhero, right? She's not an Avenger, so she's a terrorist. That was like my interpretation of what he meant.
Oh, that's a good point too. That could be that as well.
Yeah, I don't know, because I didn't think about what Ian just said. Like, that's what I thought he meant.
But like, yeah, the alias thing though could, if it has more meaning, then if it has more toward you were thinking, Ian, perhaps he's also involved in this, and he's also a multiverse character that we haven't hasn't been revealed yet. Because from somewhere else, she could be Scarlet Witch, you know.
Right. I mean, that's like, I just think they're setting up to tie in different universes here.
Yeah. I mean, they're already going to do that in the Spider-Man movie. And they're going to do...
Are they? How so?
Well, I mean, they're going to have the Spider-Man from like all the live action together.
Is that Is that going to be the animation one that they're doing
No,
that, or
that's going to be the Tom Holland movie. It's going to have
Tom Holland one?
apparently Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in it.
Oh, I was just about to. You said it, and I was like, "Does this mean that we're going to see Tobey Maguire on the silver screen again?" I'm so disappointed now.
Do you want that, or do you not want that?
No, I think Tobey Maguire is an asshat.
I wanted it in a different way. I wanted him to be the Spider-Man they got in Civil War, and to have and to canonize the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, as Spider-Man had retired after the Avengers came, and everybody accepted them willy-nilly instead of him, and so he was like, "Okay, I'm out of superhero business," and then he comes back for Civil War, and then has to pass the mantle on to Miles Morales in the new Marvel Spider-Man movies. That's how I wanted it. But
I'm very confused about what you just said.
I'm saying I wanted them to use the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in Civil War instead of having a new Peter Parker.
Oh, you wanted them to do that, but they did
back in Civil War. Now I'm less inclined. And yeah, Tobey Maguire is reportedly not a great person. And so
why is he not a great person?
He's just an obnoxious prick who let Hollywood get to him. But I definitely think that for considering that Spider-Man is like the most recognizable superhero worldwide, they need to do a better job about organizing his IPs and his movies. So they're not like Batman. They're not just like this weird shit show of nobody has a Batman ice cream.
I don't know,
but a Spider-Man ice cream with like the derpy like cross eyes. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm cheering for Batman. I'm a Batman guy. No, but
I love Batman is up there too, but
Spider-Man is my second. You know what? I used to love I love the Punisher, but I'm really upset though all those white supremacists are taking the Punisher as like their symbol, and now they're talking about even like retiring the Punisher, which totally sucks because he's like one of the best superheroes.
Well,
I don't think they will, but
I don't think they'll retire him. But they even actually, just to digress a little bit to that, there was a recent Punisher comic that had him.
They addressed that.
They had him address that, and they had him address.
They should
just congratulating him and stuff, and he's saying, "No, you guys should be doing your job. It's a bad thing that I've had to do what I do."
I think he should like go out and start killing all the white supremacist groups, all the assholes. He should go after all the assholes, so they'll start hating him.
I mean, that's what Captain America does.
Yeah, but the Punisher should do it.
Yeah, the problem is that like there's always been a problematic element to the Punisher.
How many mobsters can he kill? He spent like decades killing mobsters. Now
he's got the firepower of a literal military force. Like his cannon like power level. But yeah, the creator, Jerry, what's his name? Full on denounced that. He's like, anybody who is worshiping the Punisher does not understand the point of the comics.
Yeah, I think it's is it Jerry Siegel or?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm very much in agreement with him. If you think the Punisher is a cool guy and you want to like be the Punisher, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And I think canonically speaking, the Punisher actually has brain damage.
He suffers from PTSD.
Yeah, he suffers from massive PTSD. He's got huge brain damage and like all these like homicidal sociopathic tendencies. So if you're worshiping the Punisher, you're actually just like fucking crazy and want to be Rambo. And law enforcement agencies that are into that are equally terrifying.
Yeah, and I think they had an element where they addressed that recently.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not understanding what the Punisher is about.
Yeah, I don't think the Punisher is going to come back because that's more like the Defenders with Luke Cage.
Well, they're talking about they might bring all those back, Daredevil and Luke Cage and all of them for Disney.
Oh, I'm sure they'll bring them back, but I don't think that they will get brought back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think they're going to be a secondary market where the cinematic universe will trickle down. Like you'll see bits of lore pop up in the Defenders, whatever the next piece of media may be.
Defenders
not the other way around.
I think they made it up for Netflix.
Nope, it's a thing.
They wanted to have
I think it's
the guy who was in charge of all those shows at one point basically wanted to have a TV MCU.
Yeah, exactly. It was a Netflix
because
they wanted a Netflix Avengers.
Yeah, it really shouldn't have been that. It should have just been that stuff was better off more smaller scale.
That was the worst. I think that was the worst season that they had on the Netflix shows. Well, except for Luke Cage. I really didn't like Luke Cage. I thought
I loved Luke Cage.
Yeah, I thought Luke Cage was great. I thought Iron Fist sucked. Jessica Jones was dope, and the Punisher and Daredevil were all fantastic as well.
Yeah, to me, I feel Daredevil and Punisher were definitely the top ones, and then the other ones. Luke Cage, I didn't like it. I thought it was the first season was okay, but then did it have 2 or 3 seasons? I think it had 2. The second season was pretty much unwatchable. It was so boring, I thought.
I still liked it a lot.
You still liked it?
Mostly, again, I think that those shows were mishandled on an organizational scale. Like as good as the individual shows could be, like
Defenders sucked.
Sometimes they all had to be 13 episodes, which is why I'm happy with WandaVision. To get back to this,
yeah, man, there was a lot of filler in those shows.
That WandaVision just being like it's only supposed to be 7 episodes.
Well, that's what I think killed, not killed because you guys liked it, but I think that's what really harmed Luke Cage. You know, it was that there was so much filler because the guy was super cool. The setting was super cool. You know, the Harlan thing, it had style. I mean, it was a new thing, but there's so much filler. And what's his name? Iron Fist. I mean, that had so much filler as well.
Yeah, Iron Fist was trash.
Iron Fist also failed to be imaginative on how to adapt the character. Not acknowledge the problematic origin of the character and find a way to improve it.
Right.
Whereas like with Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, they found ways to ground it within elements of today and give it purpose.
Even Jessica Jones had the same problem, too much filler.
But it's like but basically I just found Iron Fist to be a failure of imagination there.
Yeah, I mean honestly, I kind of like the first season of Iron Fist. The second one was terrible. The first one I thought it was so, but obviously it's ridiculous, you know, like even the guy that they cast as Iron Fist, I mean, he doesn't look like, you know, someone that should be playing that role. And I mean, he was so skinny and this blonde dude, it just didn't make any sense. But
the guy who played his villain in the first season is somebody who me and some of my other friends were thinking he should have actually been cast as Iron Fist.
Who?
The guy who played the Davos, I think, the one who played.
That guy was so annoying, though. So I don't know, man. Well, a different guy, maybe, not that guy. That guy was really annoying, especially in the second season. I think it's the second season that he's the main villain. Boy, he's annoying.
Yeah, but again,
the second season's horrendous.
That show just. We'll see when they bring him back in and they have full control under Disney. We'll see what they'll do. Right now, Disney has like, what? Let me see, 13 TV shows in production.
There's so many TV shows. And it's kind of the problem with the Netflix thing that they had so many TV shows that at one point, you know, it wasn't really, you couldn't really.
But I'm hoping they won't all be like super long. Like this is why WandaVision has me hopeful, because like, I'm like, I'm hopeful they tell a concise story without the filler. And I'd much prefer stuff like this. Like what we're getting with WandaVision right now, and to give some of these actors more scenes to work with. I mean, after this is what the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that should be super interesting. It's not only does it have 2 actors who have gotten some good screen time in the movies, but they're gonna get a lot more. It's got one of my favorite recent actors from TV shows showing up. Wyatt Russell is going to be in that one. I'm excited for
Wyatt Russell in Falcon.
Yeah, if you ever see a show called Lodge 49, it's it might seem pretty like non-distinct, like it's a treasure of a show, in my opinion. But he's going to be playing.
He's Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah.
Well, he can't be that bad.
Well, Lodge 49 just it had the problem of being on AMC and not being The Walking Dead. Yeah. Or anything, or Better Call Saul.
If you're Kurt Russell's son, you got to be cool.
Yeah. So. No, I'm excited for it. I forgot how long. Yeah. So The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is only going to be 6 episodes. I really appreciate that these Disney shows are not aiming to be big, long-running things.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's share. This is can you guys see it?
Yeah. Wyatt Russell.
This is the guy. What is he in? The AMC thing you said?
Yeah, Lodge 49 is a show I know him of. He's going to be playing an interesting character in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Who's he going to be?
He's going to be playing a guy who the military is trying to prop up as the successor of Captain America. Like they want to turn Captain America into another military symbol. And so he's the guy they're going to try and push toward that. Whereas Bucky and Falcon are going, they're trying to preserve their version of Captain America. And so
okay,
it'll be an interesting story.
Did you know that Kurt Russell married Goldie Hawn?
Yeah.
The power couple before Brangelina, I guess. Stop sharing.
So did you guys have any theories that had to change or were disproven as you watched through? Because in like episodes 1 and 2, I was definitely thinking like, okay, Wanda is in a coma and she's in some kind of fugue state where she's hallucinating all of this, and Sword is trying to make contact with her so they can weaponize her and do evil things, and that is clearly not the case anymore.
Yeah, my theory was that Vision was just a hallucination, that she was brought back to life. I did not realize the fact that she actually stole his corpse to bring him into that zone was pretty intense.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool, that scene. Yeah, I can't really say, I don't think I had a specific theory like you guys. I thought it was something along those lines, that she was kind of like fabricating it. I didn't really have a very specific theory. But I think that it makes a whole lot of sense, the way they're presenting it. I think the story is like really well built.
And I think the level of Wanda's complicity in this was a lot higher than I originally thought. I thought maybe she was just aware of what was going on. I didn't realize she could walk in and out.
Yeah.
Right. That was especially surprising, where she comes out and, she basically reveals that she's got quite a lot of agency over her actions, which makes it hard when Rambo defends her earlier is like, she's not doing this as a terrorist action. It's not politically motivated. This, might be completely involuntary. We don't know yet, so you can't assume she's a terrorist. And then she comes out and does some pretty terrorist-tastic stuff. So you're like, well, this is not going to end well for you, Wanda.
Yeah, no, the level of her involvement in this is quite high. Now, granted, I think she's admitting that she's not 100% involved in this. This is still above her power level, as she was trying to say to Vision prior to Pietro showing up.
Yeah,
I still say quotes because I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think it's all out yet. I think there's some stuff that they're still keeping to themselves, and I think we're gonna see some stuff on.
Oh yeah, I think there's another villain.
I don't think it's so.
Do you guys? What do you think is happening to Vision at the moment? Do you think Vision is like actually alive, or do you think he's like? What do you think's going on there? Because I've got some theories. I'm curious.
Well, I think he's alive, but not completely alive.
So they specifically said that Wanda's powers and the Vision's powers and the Vision's life came from the Mind Stone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
they're talking about the Mind Stone and nobody has it.
And he has no memories prior to coming to New Jersey. And so I feel like she basically has created not a homunculus or whatever, but like almost a temp. He only can exist within this zone.
Yeah, I think a homunculus is kind of a good term for it, because I don't know enough about Vision to talk about him completely intelligently. But my working theory is that she's got him powered on in like a safe boot, if you will, where he said that he doesn't have any of his memories. So I think she has like his working character. But
yeah, it's based off of her, what she knows.
Right. It's only based off of like her idea. So she could very well just be levitating Vision's corpse around in a parking lot and self-inserting what she thinks he would be doing.
I don't think that's the case. I mean, you might be right, but I'm gonna bet on the other direction. I think he is alive. I think he's not like fully alive, like he doesn't have a body or anything. But I think she's like using his brain, and that's why he's basically like just a brain in a jar right now, and she's like creating this world for him.
Right. I'm very interested.
Some variation of that. Some variation.
Sure. So they revealed in episode 5 that Wanda broke in and stole his remains from Sword. And they also touched on the fact that it was in Vision's will that he not be used as a weapon, or like his body not be used as a weapon. So you're kind of wondering, what is he doing at the Sword headquarters?
Right. There's definitely some villainous elements with Sword at the moment, which
that's a good point. Yeah.
I think Sword does a really good job.
Weapon, yeah.
I think Sword does a really good job throughout, any Marvel medium as just kind of representing like the military industrial complex and the inherent aggression and hubris of any military body. I think that's always like, what the entity has been made to be. But I think that's coming across really well here.
Is Sword, are they involved in the Incredible Hulk stuff?
That's more the Thunderbolts, I think.
Okay. Like that dude, the General something, General
Ross? General Ross, yeah.
Is that Sword as well?
I don't remember him ever being a part of Sword, but there's so much stuff that it very much could be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember that name, Sword. I think this is the first time. Well, first time I heard it was from you, I think, in our last podcast. But
yeah, I do wonder if this is because like they could have just brought in William Hurt and had General Ross be involved in this. This is up his alley. He was all about the Sokovia Accords and everything.
He could be behind it. He could be the guy behind it.
Well, I feel like we would have seen him already.
True.
There's only 2 more episodes, and so
only 2 more. Is it 7 episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the cool thing about not having a lot of episodes and having them be short episodes, that there's not a lot of filler here, and it's cool that every episode they introduce a new element to it.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely can't like tease you forever.
Yeah, it's like a mystery that every single episode you get a little bit, you get a new piece of the puzzle. And I think that's pretty cool. I think yeah, we don't know. I don't think she's fully behind it. I think she's only partially behind it, but
well, I just think that she's complicit in it, and
there's a little bit of it that it doesn't seem to be resolved. Like she doesn't know how the thing started, it seems.
I'm just very curious as to like who. I know there's people who have been theorizing that they're going to go with like Mephisto or something as like a villain that's trying to have his hand within the universe, but I just don't know whether they're going to go that far into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with only 2 episodes left, I can only see this going so many different ways. I think they're going to give enough of a resolution, but I'm almost positive that it's going to end on some kind of cliffhanger that will tease another series.
Well, I think it's going to
or movie
tease Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because Elizabeth Olsen is listed as a co-lead of that, so she's going to be.
Okay, well there you go.
So I mean, there's a lot that they are prepping for, that very much seems to be in line with that, which is crazy for me that they're going that direction, because I felt like they were setting up the second Doctor Strange movie to be one where Mordo is the villain, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope there's at least some sort of resolution, you know, at least this story is resolved.
I think it's going to resolve, but it's going to introduce something that's going to be like, whoa, where do they go from here? And then you'll probably see the stinger at the end of it. Wanda will return in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Like, you know, I think it's going to be something like that. I
think they'll explicitly say.
Hmm?
I think they'll explicitly like say at the end too, because they did that with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
they're like Spider-Man's coming back in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I think it's going to be said, and I honestly feel like a lot of these shows are going to be like to be continued in this, or to be like,
right,
you know,
which I guess makes sense, because I think there's a lot of I think the Marvel web of continuity is becoming a little bit nebulous at the moment, where you can watch these movies out of order and you're kind of fine. And I think this helps them pass the torch and build a more linear chain.
Yeah. Some random aside, I'm looking at the Phase 4 development. I did not realize. I mean, I was even at Comic-Con in 2019. I forgot they had actually announced they're making a Fantastic Four movie.
Another one, really?
Did they?
Well, they're going to do an MCU Fantastic Four.
I think that's exciting. Come on, Ian. Have a little faith, man.
I mean,
look, I'm excited for Doctor Doom. If they make a Fantastic Four movie where Doctor Doom shows up and just straight murders everybody, that would be great.
Hey, if they get through Multiverse of Madness, and the end result is that Latveria is now in the MCU, and people are like, well, this is this country we don't know about. What's going on here? And then
that reminds me of so like some of the Easter eggs, like with the commercials especially, which are, you know, just fun little bits for the
Lagos wipes.
The Lagos wipes, I didn't know that one. So I had to look up Lagos.
What's that? The Lagos wipes.
So you saw that commercial in the
what's that about? That was weird.
That was when she.
I know the scene, but like, what are you guys referring to? What is it?
Well, I don't know. That's my problem.
That's the problem. Yeah.
I believe it's from. Is it Age of Ultron, or at the very beginning, Avengers go somewhere and they are fighting Crossbones in Lagos, and Wanda tries to prevent him from self-destructing, but his explosion ends up diverting it to the wrong place, and it actually causes a lot of damage.
Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
So, that would make sense.
All right. Not that great. I like they were selling some products, I think, in the first couple episodes, and it was
like Hydrolite.
Yeah,
Hydra and the Howard.
That was pretty good.
Howard Stark Industries. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think as cool as those are, those could also be little breadcrumbs, just little hints that there's a lot of unresolved trauma in Wanda that is influencing her in ways that she does not intend. And I think it's just become obvious at this point that this whole, like the Hex and everything else, all of Westville is just going to come crashing down horrifically. We just don't know how yet.
It's like a Stephen King story setup.
A little bit.
Which the Hex is another sort of Easter egg, because Wanda's powers in the comics are referred to as hexes.
This is kind of like that story with the bubble, the Stephen King story that they made a show out of it. I I haven't seen it, but it's really just the same storyline, really, almost. That there's a bubble around a town. What is it called? Is it like, oh, I forgot. Like I don't know. I don't know. It was a TV show a couple of years ago. Do you know?
Which one?
Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was Civil War that Lagos happened in, not Age of Ultron.
So that is the thing that happened, though.
That's the show.
She accidentally diverted an explosion to Lagos and just detonated Lagos.
Yeah. Basically, she diverted it, but it killed a bunch of Wakandan humanitarian workers in a nearby building.
Oof. Big oof.
Yeah.
So between like that and the hydrolite, I think, these are just little manifestations of trauma, which shows that Wanda really doesn't have full agency over her actions right now.
Right.
I think this is basically going to end up in like a huge mental break.
That's smart. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose, but yeah, might be. It would be smart if they were. Yeah, I mean, this is a smart show. For being a Marvel show, this is a pretty smart show. Like, it's a cerebral Marvel show, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I guess we should wrap it up, right? Because you're really into you want to watch.
You're doing the Super Bowl at 5:30.
I'm probably gonna watch This is my guiltiest pleasure is being involved, is enjoying a sport that is actually quite awful.
Hey man, I enjoy a lot of awful things too. So don't let.
Why is it awful? Great sport. I'm not
it's so terrible to the people involved. The lifetime of injuries and trauma. Like these guys,
the lifestyle they're allowed to live that we just kind of glorify. Yeah, football is not great. I think football shouldn't be in schools, but I'm not going to stop people from disliking it. It's definitely an American pastime.
I mostly like it for the fact that, Kansas City is from my home state. I grew up there, and so
is that your team, Kansas City
Chiefs? Yeah.
Is that
also kind of a problematic?
Don't they have a team in St. Louis?
They used to. They moved to LA.
Is that the Rams?
Yeah, the Rams moved to.
Was that painful to you?
Yeah. I grew up watching Kurt Warner, greatest show on turf.
That's the one thing. That's the thing I like the least about American sports is that I hate what they do, like when they change a team from one city to the other. I think that makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't understand anything about sports. Bruno tried to teach me how to play soccer on the PlayStation 4 the other day, and I couldn't even do that.
In soccer, people don't do that, man. You don't move one team from its city to a different city. That defeats the whole purpose of the thing. But I don't know. American sports are different. Hopefully they won't move the Green Bay Packers. That would suck. I think there would be a civil war. Wisconsin would.
Well, they really can't. Green Bay is, I think, publicly owned.
It's owned by. I think it's the only team owned by the supporters.
Yeah,
it's like an European team.
I had a suggestion once. I was talking to Lauren about. I was like, sports franchises should not be private. They should be owned by the cities that they reside in, and they should.
Yeah, they should have to contribute their revenue to the city that props them up.
Yeah, instead of them paying hundreds of millions of dollars for their stadiums just to keep them.
Yeah, I don't know why we pay so much for the Vikings here in Minnesota when they're not even good. It's just, I have opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good point.
All right, man. Well, we won't keep you. Go enjoy the Super Bowl.
But, let's.
I'm gonna enjoy more of my chili, my 8-hour chili.
You guys have any final remarks about the WandaVision?
These next two episodes should be fire, hopefully.
Yes, yeah. These next two episodes are going to be fantastic. I also really just love the television homage that they've done in every episode so far.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, let's
Thanks for watching, guys.